And we begin the bulletin with some news coming in from the state of Tamil Nadu. Slanderous statement yet again from Tamil Nadu, and this time by a right-wing leader who has now been arrested. Chennai police has arrested VHP leader RBVS Manian for making derogatory remarks against Ambedkar and Thiruvallur. Manian's video of the alleged derogatory statement had been going viral, following which the state police swung into action. The VHP leader has been booked under 5 sections, including SC/ST Act 153-153A. DMK has slammed the statement, calling it foolish, and said it cannot be compared to the Sanatan slander by its minister Udhayanidhi Stalin.
The problem is that this man does not know who Ambedkar is and who is the chairman of the drafting committee. The chairman of the drafting committee itself is Ambedkar, not Rajendra Prasad. This man is nothing. This man who was arrested is a big zero. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know history. Thiruvallur, so there is no Thiruvallur. There is nobody by name Thiruvallur. That is his second statement. So these funny comments, he should be arrested. What the government had done is right. Sanatana is a theory. Nobody has explained what is Sanatana. Because Sanatana is the reason for 90% of the Hindus being backward classes and scheduled castes. So it has insulted the whole Hindu community.
My colleague Dharani is joining me on the phone line to get us more details. Well, Dharani, clearly as far as the DMK leader is concerned, we did hear what Ilan Govan had to say. He says that there is no comparison between the statement made by Udhayanidhi Stalin on Sanatan and what this particular VHP leader Manian has spoken about Dr. Ambedkar. But what remains to be seen is that there appears to be a duplicitous stance taken by the DMK government, where they have been endorsing a sense of a religious hate statement by Udhayanidhi Stalin. Over here, they were prompt to arrest the VHP leader.
Well, the DMK is of the opinion that Sanatan Dharma is a philosophy, it's a theory, and whatever Udhayanidhi Stalin commented about Sanatan Dharma is a comment on the philosophy and the theory. But, as far as this VHP leader, Manian is concerned, he has attacked one, individual, that is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. This is a personal attack. He has made derogatory remarks against one particular individual, and that is why he's attracting legal action, is what, the DMK is telling. And they're also, going on to cite the example of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Recently, Rahul Gandhi got convicted for the Modi surname. The complaint there is that Rahul Gandhi was attacking the Modi, surname, and he was, making derogatory remarks against the Modi surname in whole. And that is why he got convicted. If that conviction is right, then this arrest is also right, is what the DMK is telling. And, meanwhile, we can also clearly see that the ADMK and the BJP, they are distancing themselves from this, from this development, since, he has made this very controversial remark about Mr. B.R. Ambedkar. We could see that the BJP itself is distancing itself from, VHP in this matter. There is no, there is no, a similar opinion between the VHP and the BJP in this matter too.
Absolutely, Dharani. Thank you for getting us all those details. We shall leave it at that for the moment. We are also joined by an esteemed panel of guests this afternoon. I'm joined by Mr. Anurag Naidu, who is the author. I'm also joined by Mr. Hareesh Mohamed Ibrahim, who is a political analyst. And I'm also joined by Dr. Narayan Lakshman, who is an associate editor of The Hindu. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for taking your time and joining us over here at Mirror Now. My first question would go across to Mr. Hareesh Mohamed Ibrahim. Mr. Ibrahim, when this entire controversy had started, as far as Udhayanidhi Stalin's statement is concerned, the DMK and several of the opposition party leaders came out to endorse it and support it thereafter, fueling the controversy further. But clearly, as far as the VHP leader's statement is concerned, the DMK seemed to be prompt in taking action, and the VHP leader has been now arrested. Does this not look like a doublespeak of sorts? This is a question that I'm asking, is because they both are, in a sense, a sensitive statement, controversial statement, which can hurt a section of the people from a society.
Give me a fair 2 minutes to respond in an elaborate way. And first of all, I want to bring it to the notice that both what Udhayanidhi Stalin have categorically said and what the RSS and VHP leader Mr. Manian, who has said, and equally coherent with. And the Sanatana Dharma, which has to be eradicated, is what the thoughts which make sure to differentiate people according to the caste system is what Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin have meant on his eradication of Sanatana Dharma program. And the same thing, which is what prescribed by Mr. Manian on his categorically as a spiritual preacher, what he has preached yesterday is he has to make sure the Devar community and the SC community has to go on and fight with them rather of switching over to a religion. And the same thing is what the Sanatana preach, and this is what we have to eradicate, is what Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin said on his program, number one. And number two, in Tamil Nadu state, where the social justice has been taken in right from its inception of Justice Party from 1960s on 16s onward, we have a equal opportunity have to be delivered to each and everyone in accordance with, not according to any caste, creed, or religion. And this is what we preach, and this is what we practice. And that's the same thing which is opposing the Sanatana Dharma, number one. And number two, at this juncture, when RSS and VHP leader Manian spoke regarding Ambedkar, stating that he is a stenographer and he doesn't write the constitution, and he hails from a SC community which is not even par with other communities.
But Mr. Ibrahim, at max, what Mr. Manian has said can be termed as a distortion of history in a sense. But that doesn't really go on to really, demean, Mr. B.R. Ambedkar. Nobody is questioning his contribution when it comes to writing the constitution of the country. And that is exactly what I'm saying. At max, it can be termed as a distortion of history. But having said that, it's the same logic that I'm still going to reiterate. Let me take the question across to Mr. Dr. Narayan Lakshman. Mr. Lakshman, you heard what Mr. Ibrahim had to say. He says that, there is... no, Mr. Ibrahim, I am not yielding to you. You guys had a chance to speak for 2 minutes, and I'm now going to go across to Mr. Lakshman. I'll come back to you to make a point. Mr. Lakshman, you heard what Mr. Ibrahim was saying. And we have to ensure that there is a fair play over here. Otherwise, it appears that the justice balance seems to be tilted, where there is a differential treatment meted out to Udhayanidhi Stalin because he is a chief minister's son and therefore he exerts more power, etc. But when it comes to, the statement made by Mr. Manian, while it is condemnable because he is trying to hurt the sentiment of all the people who have revered Dr. Ambedkar over the years and decades for his contribution, it is a distortion of history. But what appears to be a fashion of sorts to try and come up with these incendiary statements, which is going to fan sentiment, especially in the election season?
Well, Samia, that's an absolutely important question at this juncture, because what we're seeing is that almost like a tit-for-tat game of escalation where you have multiple people making these controversial remarks which injure the sentiments of people on the other side. And this really sets the stage for a very unpleasant 2024 election in terms of the things that leaders say in the campaigning period. So I think if you take a step back from the immediate incidents, however, what you're looking at is the DMK has certainly tried to make a mark for itself in terms of the media cycle and, maybe draw attention to Udhayanidhi Stalin as a younger leader, as being one of the outspoken persons for the principles that the Dravidian movement stands for, whether or not it includes just caste equality or non-discrimination, but whether it goes on to attack Hinduism through the mention of Sanatan Dharma is a bigger question which we can leave aside for now. He has injured the sentiments according to a number of people who have responded to that. Similarly, people would say that sentiments have been injured by the allusion to Thiruvalluvar and Mr. Ambedkar as well on the Tamil Nadu side here today. So I think the bigger point is, how is this going to impact the election? I think the DMK, while it has made its point forcefully and continues to say that social justice and non-discrimination between castes is its main concern, what you're going to see is this is going to have an echo on alliance politics, the India coalition, and whether or not the DMK will be seen as a sustainable partner within that alliance. That, to me, is the bigger question of what's going to happen. They may lash out in terms of clamping down on those who insult Dravidian leaders or backward caste leaders, as the case today has been. But the bigger echo is in terms of national politics for the 2024 election.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Lakshman, for putting things into perspective over here and putting it very succinctly at that. But Mr. Naidu is also here with us. Mr. Naidu, while there's a large section of the political leaders, you know, especially hailing from the BJP and the right wing, to have been demanding action against Udhayanidhi Stalin, condemning the statement that he made, saying that it hurts the sentiment of the people at large, the same logic should also be applied to Mr. Manian as well. Do you approve of the action being taken against him? Because the statement that he made also goes on to hurt. And clearly, when it comes to a quid pro quo between political parties, like Mr. Lakshman was mentioning, where is this going to end in the lead up to 2024 elections?
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show, first of all. But I really don't understand why there is a similarity, or why do we need to force ourselves into drawing a parallel between what Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin and Mr. Raja has spoken with respect to Sanatan Dharma, and also what Mr. Manian has spoken. I mean, let's view these both the topics independently, and then let's try to analyze whether it was wrong or right.
Okay.
Nobody has the right, or nobody has anything to do with speaking wrong information about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who is a Bharat Ratna. We all know about his contribution. He's the pillar. He's the one person responsible for the beautiful constitution that we have today. But if he has expressed his opinion, we also need to see if it is intended to insult such a stature of Dr. Baba Sahab Ambedkar, and also we also have to introspect whether it is a political political action which is in reaction to what has been gaining a lot of traction of late with respect to Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin's statement and Mr. Raja's statement. And, across India, there has been a huge amount of traction, because what they call the Sanatan Dharma is they called names, they compared with the diseases, they compared with, whatnot. So I don't think that we should draw parallel, try to link up two things, because that doesn't add up. And if you really want to take action against Mr. Manian, which you have already taken by all rightfulness, it will be, heard in the court. And I'm sure Mr. Manian will contest or will put his views, what he meant in the court. We really don't want to introspect and say on his behalf, because nobody understands, nobody knows what was there in his mind. But nobody has any right to insult Dr. Baba Sahab Ambedkar. But at the same time, nobody has the right to call names to Sanatan Dharma. And why do we want to dilute the whole debate of Sanatan Dharma? Because if that is a statement which has not been condemned again by the leader who has spoken about it, and that makes it a point of discussion in the political circles. Because if he had given an apology, if he had said, okay, it was a mistake and it was a slip of tongue, he didn't mean it. But I think the leaders are coming out and saying, yeah, they did mean it.
You make a fair point over there, Mr. Naidu. I agree with you that as far as drawing a parallel is concerned, that is one way of viewing it, and that need not necessarily be the way to try and analyze both these statements. It can also be seen individually. But when it comes to the fact that why would leaders want to get leaders with a large, vote base or a fan base of sorts who will be able to influence the impressionable minds, have to even delve into coming up with statements that is going to hurt the sentiment of the people, and which are definitely bordering, which is going to be fanning sentiments, which may lead to some sort of, untoward incidents and violence, because you never know how people are going to react. I agree with you that while it was distasteful statement that kept on getting the backing of several of the leaders when it comes to Udhayanidhi Stalin's statement, at the same time, even Mr. Manian wasn't in a space to try and distort history and make statements that are hurtful in regards to Dr. Ambedkar. I have paucity of time over here. I will have to wrap this conversation, but thank you so much to all of you for joining us here. And we are only hoping that perhaps the leaders are going to exercise some restraint and perhaps watch the statement that they are making.